So since Governor Andrew Cuomo forced a fiscally conservative budget deal with the legislature, he has turned his attention to a policy agenda that is designed to build back support within the Democratic base. Atop his to-do list is the legalization of same-sex marriage. Now, as we have discussed, a new coalition has formed with Cuomo at the helm. It has the goal of pushing a marriage bill through the very closely divided state Senate before the session ends in June. But in order for that to happen, several senators who voted no when the measure failed in 2009 in a 24-38 vote will have to change their minds. And the measure will definitely fail unless at least one Republican votes yes, and that's thanks to Bronx Democrat Ruben Diaz Sr.'s staunch opposition. Now, my next guest has threatened to yank support from any GOP lawmaker who crosses this line. He is State Conservative Party Chairman Mike Long. Chairman, thanks for your time.
Good to be with you, Liz.
It is great to see you. So this is it for you. This is the line in the sand. Anyone who votes yes on gay marriage is going to lose Conservative Party support. Is that true?
Well, look, I think anybody who sought the Conservative Party endorsement understood it's been no secret that the Conservative Party, the state of New York, for years has been championing traditional marriage. And we have enunciated very clearly where the party stands. So therefore, when you're coming for the endorsement of the New York State Conservative Party, you know up front that the sanctity of traditional marriage is one of the very important, not the only issue, but one very important issue. Then if you wound up switching your position on that, because you would have had to switch your position, otherwise you wouldn't have had the endorsement to begin with. And if you switch your position, then you clearly would be dishonest with the people you interviewed with, and therefore you would lose the endorsement of the Conservative Party.
Chairman, here's the thing I've never really understood, though. For example, why is gay marriage the line in the sand situation when, for example, abortion rights are not? I mean, you have in the past.
No, that's not true. Partial birth abortion, if you remember, you go back a few years, Liz, partial birth abortion was also a line in the sand. Those two issues have always been a line in the sand.
Okay.
If you're for partial birth abortion, you do not get the Conservative Party endorsement.
I understand that, but I guess the problem is that there are a couple of different levels in the abortion conversation, whereas marriage, you either are married or you're not. There's no, you can't be a little bit married, right?
You can't be a little bit married, and marriage between a man and a wife is a very sacred position that we hold, and we're not trying to take anybody or deny anybody rights. Anybody who wants to live with another person and wants to share their wealth or wants to make sure you can go become the health care proxy, you can go to sit down with a lawyer and get a contract and almost share all the same privileges of a married couple, except the fact that your marriage is clearly, in Western civilization, is designated as between a man and a woman.
Okay, but Chairman, let me just, excuse me for just 1 second, I'm sorry. Just a quick question, though. I mean, for example, the Siena poll this month says that 58% of New Yorkers are actually in favor of the legalization of same-sex marriage, and it seems like public opinion is turning. For example, just today, you see the law firm that the House Republicans hired to defend DOMA, the Defense of Marriage, pulled out because they came under a lot of pressure. I mean, it seems to me that if you guys decide to yank your support from Senate Republicans on this particular issue, do you not threaten the possibility that they could lose the chamber altogether?
Well, let me also remind you, though, Liz, that last week or the week before there was a poll, and it showed that where the citizens of New York felt how important the issue of traditional marriage was, or same-sex marriage, and only less than 8% thought it was a prime thing that had to be dealt with. And I think the governor is making a mistake using this as a priority. I understand he's trying to rebuild his strength amongst the left-wing Democrats, but it is not a pressing issue. I would urge the governor to pay attention to a cap on property tax, on mandate relief, on moving this state. He had a great start. I would like to see him continue to move the state in the right direction, and I think he's on the right track.
But
this
Chairman,
is a political.
Chairman, I understand it is indeed a political issue, but the problem is if in fact you draw the line here and the Senate Republicans lose the chamber, you lose the possibility of getting through other things like, I don't know, the fiscally conservative things that are also a priority for you, do you not? I mean, if you cost the Republicans the chamber...
Well, my hope is that the Senate majority doesn't put, and in fact, you know, if you're involved in a partnership to help regain the Senate majority, which I believe the Conservative Party was, I would hope that you would not put this to the Conservative Party and put the Conservative Party, push them back after they helped you gain the majority in the state Senate. I don't think any minds have been changed in the state Senate. I think clearly, look, I understand the senators would like to have this issue go away, but the bottom line is I ask them to stand up and have the courage of their convictions and do what is the right thing for the state of New York, and that is to preserve marriage, traditional marriage between a man and a woman.
Do you even think it should be allowed to come to the floor for a vote? Because it is, of course, Dean Skelos' decision as to whether or not it gets there.
Yeah, I think the voters, I have no problem with that. Naturally, I'd rather not see a vote, but I think the voters deserve to know where their senators stand, both Democrat and Republican. Let them know where they stand. There are a couple, by the way, all your emphasis is on the Republicans. There's a lot of Democrats that voted the other way the last time.
Yep.
They may vote with us again. And I would hope they do, because there could be in swing districts that could make a difference in their election or in a primary.
Yeah, so they're under a lot of pressure, those guys, for sure, and those women,
and
for certain.
And I understand, right, they're under a lot of pressure, and I understand the addition of the governor behind this whole move makes it even more uncomfortable for them. And that's why I would hope that Governor Cuomo really doesn't push this too far and force the issue, and stays focused on bringing New York State back into the status of an empire state, and state, give us mandate relief, give us a cap on property taxes. Let's create jobs for the private sector. Those are the issues that I believe the voters of the state of New York are really concerned about.
Yeah,
they're not concerned about
gay marriage,
changing the status of traditional marriage.
You're touching also today on an issue that I think a lot of people are very concerned about, and I've got a press release from you right here. I mean, you've now restarted your petition to end the 4% gasoline sales tax, the state sales tax, because, of course, prices are soaring at the pump. This is a new, old initiative for you. This is something that you pushed back in 2001, and now here you are, doing it again.
Well, I mean, if there is ever a place where people, especially the people upstate New York and out in Long Island, that have to travel 30, 40, 50 miles to work, and they have no other way of getting there but by car, and some of them travel 70 miles to work. If there was anything the governor could do right now is step forward and call on the localities, the counties, to cap the sales tax on the gasoline sales tax. I mean, what's happening here, the governments are getting a windfall. They're getting a windfall of money, but it's coming out of the pockets of Mr. and Mrs. Smith that travel to work on a daily basis. And we really need, the citizens, the taxpayers, this state needs relief. So I would ask the governor to spearhead that move. I know the Conservative Party is going to spearhead that move, and I would hope that all the legislators would join with us, and also the county execs. Chairman,
just before we run out of time, I'm curious for your thoughts about Donald Trump and his maybe sort of kind of presidential run, and if you think he is a conservative, as he says that he is now.
Well, look, I haven't sat down with Donald in quite a few years. His past history has not always been conservative. I have no problem with a conversion if, in fact, he is a conservative now. That's fine. I'm not sure every issue that he's harping on is the right thing for a candidate to run for president, okay?
Whoa. What does that mean? No, you think the birther issue is a bad issue?
Yeah, I think the birth. Look, I think it attracts a lot of momentum. It gets a lot of people excited. It raises the issue. But I believe the president was born in the United States, and I understand for whatever reason the president's not walking around with his birth certificate. Okay, but I just think it's in a lot of ways it's a non-issue, and it doesn't help anybody. It doesn't. If anything, it may be winding up helping Obama.
Interesting. Well, State Conservative Party Chairman Mike Long, always an outspoken guy. I appreciate your time. Thanks so much for being with us.
Good to be with you, Liz.